Hi, I am Shannon Renee with Authentically Momming, and this is Mothers Are Source. Source. Someone that causes or produces life, produces the origin of, a source of energy. As a former single mom, I am extremely passionate about bringing awareness to the lives of single mothers. Mothers are our source. We are the source of our children. We are the cause of life. We produce life. Our Creator created us fearfully, creating us beautifully, creating us to be the source life is formed in. For many women, we dream of the day we will become mothers, how we will feel, the overwhelming love we feel for our children, the baby smell, the snuggles, the first laugh, their first word, raising them with someone we love, trust, and cherish, someone we hoped to share our life with and raise our babies with. There are not many women who had it in their hearts to do it all on their own. Becoming a single mother is usually never planned, but happens in many different ways. Please join me as I share the inspirational stories of incredibly strong, brave, and beautiful single mothers around the world. Hi, I am Shannon Renee with Authentically Momming, and this is Mothers Are Source. I just want to remind you all that this is part 2 of Tiffany's story. If you would like to hear part 1 and haven't listened to it yet, please listen to the video prior to this one. And I just want to remind you that this story does involve emotional and physical abuse. So if that's something that you're sensitive to, please either choose not to listen or tread lightly if this is going to be something challenging for you. And this is part 2 of her story. And Tiffany, again, thank you so much for sharing your incredible testimony with us. Do you feel that in any way how you were raised, your childhood led you to getting into that type of a relationship?
Um, I think partially. I mentioned how I had suffered sexual abuse as a child, um, and that it definitely colored my teenage years. Um, with all the typical repercussions of something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then getting into that relationship, I think I was easily led to be sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't villainize him or shame him for what he had gone through.
Yeah.
That I think, he wouldn't have been able to open up to someone else like he could open up with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it made me vulnerable to being manipulated.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Um, what do you believe has really gotten you through being a single mom?
My faith,
Yeah.
that's, that's the biggest thing. I did not have any real faith until after I became separated.
Mm.
Um, I didn't have much faith in the house growing up, and it was never a priority. It was, for other people or, different people.
Yeah.
And after I was separated, it was somebody at work who kind of saw everything that I was going through. And she kind of made it her personal mission to save me.
Mm.
And she really got through to me. She was also a single mom, and she was a few years older, and she was super smart. She was super talented. She had a good career. She had just done so well for herself. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I had this preconceived notion of religious people. So, seeing someone who was like me and who was normal, who was intelligent and religious was something new to me.
Yeah.
And she was really able to like satisfy all of my doubt. She had an answer for everything, and an answer that made sense. It wasn't, wishy-washy or,
Yeah.
just words. She got through to me,
Mm.
and it changed everything for me.
Mm.
You know, I wasn't in despair anymore.
Yeah.
I had hope, I had purpose, and as hard as things get, that doesn't change.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, how did you, so going back to what you shared earlier, you said you moved to Pennsylvania and you were first in a trailer and then you moved into a house. So how, like, what were you doing? How were you able to make it financially on your own?
Um, I was managing a barber shop. I was in a different relationship with the same boyfriend from the last incident with my ex-husband. We
Okay.
stayed together for like 3 years. So he
He
was
moved with
helping
you?
me. I'm sorry.
He moved with you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I I wasn't. It was a weird situation because he actually lived in Virginia.
Okay.
I met him because he was working in New Jersey
Okay.
temporarily, and then it was kind of long distance, and then he wound up having another job near where I moved to, and then rather than stay in the hotel with his coworkers, he just stayed with me, and then eventually that turned into living together, which wasn't really my plan, but it happened.
Mhm.
um, and So I was managing a barber shop, which was a lot of like nights and weekends work. So it was helpful, having him around because we could share watching the kids, and I made good money doing that. But um so I saved everything because I was used to living on like half of that with double the living expenses. So
Mhm.
I just kind of kept our lifestyle the same and saved up all the rest.
Mhm.
And then when we broke up, then I had to quit that job because I could no longer do nights and weekends.
Yeah.
So I switched jobs. It was 2016, so um, 5 years ago. I left that job, which was really sad, but now I've been at the same job since then, which is really flexible. It's right down the street. It's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and I can take time off if needed. I can make
Yeah.
time up if needed. So
Nice.
I don't make that much money, but it works for us. Like me being completely on my own,
Yeah.
I need that flexibility.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. Were there any resources that helped you as a single mom that have helped you?
No.
No.
No. I mean, church was great. I could um find, fellowship with other women.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's not a whole lot of single moms at church, but there are a few.
Yeah.
Um, so that was nice, but that was more, because I wasn't really looking for actual assistance. I was just there for,
Yeah.
guidance and fellowship. But yeah, as far as like programs that helped me, I didn't have any. I didn't qualify for anything. I think because I worked full time.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even working full time at minimum wage, you're still over the threshold to get any assistance
Yeah.
unless you have other issue, like, if you have a drug addiction or um are homeless, things like that, then you can qualify for other things. But I I didn't do drugs, and I
Yeah.
wasn't about to let us be homeless. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was like there wasn't resources for people who are like actively trying, and just need like a little bit of help.
Yes.
I think there's resources for when you're completely helpless.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So what would have been helpful for you to have?
probably childcare first and foremost,
Mhm.
because I could not afford childcare. It was not even an option.
Yeah.
You know, daycare is for one kid, 300 a week.
Yeah.
I I was lucky if I made 300 a week, and I
Yeah.
had two kids.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was not even possible. I had to, you know, have a different friend or family member every day of the week watch them. I'd have, my best friend watch them Mondays, my mom watched them Tuesdays, my grandmother watched them Wednesdays, my aunt watched them Thursdays, and then maybe if their dad was around at the time, he would take off on Fridays.
Yeah.
It was, and then if one of them got sick, I had to find a replacement or I had to take off of work. It was scary.
Yeah.
So childcare would have been incredible. Um, and housing also would have been great. Because there's no coupons for rent.
Yeah.
So, trying to every month, I mean, it's probably even worse now, but back then my rent was 1,500 a month. And like I said, I was lucky if I was making $300-400 after taxes were taken out every week. So it was like all month I'm scraping together money to have that $1,500 at the end of the month. And then it's like, okay, now we have to start saving up for next month. And how are we going to get food or pay the electric bill? That was a lot. It ate up pretty much all of my money. And I would, have to do odd jobs. I would have to babysit for other people to try and make an extra $50 for
Yeah.
food for the week. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
So, and housing wasn't even an option.
Yeah. Oh, that's so tough.
Yeah.
My next question is what's your biggest challenge as a single mom? Do you feel it was that, like, not having childcare, or is there something else you feel?
Um, I would say probably mental health. And I think that's something people are starting to realize more and more as time goes by, that we're not robots who can just do this day in and day out and struggle and worry and nurture and raise. It takes a big toll on us.
Mhm.
And it looking back, the thing that makes me the most sad is how much energy was taken away from me being present for my kids.
Mhm.
That I had to do all of the logistical things first. So we had a roof over our head, so we had food in the fridge. I didn't get any time to enjoy being a parent.
Yeah.
And then even if I did, I was so tired and worried and scared that, yeah, it it made it really hard to enjoy, those precious years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you want to do. You want
Yeah.
to enjoy it. You want to have all those memories
Mhm.
and pictures. It's like, did I even have time to take pictures? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Oh. So mental health, you feel like is your biggest challenge, just having the time to take care of yourself and be present.
Yeah. Take
Yeah.
care of yourself and enjoy taking care of your
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Things that I think you take for granted if you're not a single parent. You have all the same struggles, but they're shared with
Yes.
someone else.
Yes. I being a parent is the hardest, most challenging and rewarding job that there is, but like yeah, when you have to do it on your own, it's just like that like a million times harder.
Yeah.
Um have you ever felt, I know you mentioned being in the hospital and stuff, but outside of that, have you ever felt judged at all for being a single mom?
Um, less and less as time goes by. I think I still like see preconceived notions because when, people meet me, they're really surprised to hear that I got pregnant when I was 16 or that I'm divorced
Mhm.
because I guess I don't fit their idea of what that looks like. They picture, I guess, teen moms, living off the system or living with
Yeah.
their parents raising their kids themselves,
Yeah.
or, divorced people, being reckless and selfish, So I think, I get those odd looks like, oh, you were a teen mom or you've been divorced because I guess I don't fit the stereotype.
Yeah. I
But so I don't feel much negative judgment anymore.
agree.
I think, when I was a kid and it was obvious that I was a teen mom, um, I felt it a little bit more. Now it's more I'm on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I just think that the whole idea needs to change. It's not a girl's fault automatically
Mhm.
that she's a teenage mother. It doesn't mean she's bad or has done something wrong.
Mhm.
And same with getting divorced.
Yeah.
That's not an automatic shame upon the woman like it seems to be.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Um, is there anything, if you could go back in time, that you would change about your journey?
No,
No.
I
Why?
know that's probably crazy. Um,
No, I love that answer. I just can't.
yeah, I'm just I'm grateful for how it all turned out.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't guarantee that it would have turned out this way if I changed anything.
Yeah.
Um, and, I'm grateful my kids somehow turned out happy and healthy and normal. You
Yeah.
know, they're compassionate, they're intelligent. They don't they don't seem like they're lacking anything. So
Yeah.
and that was my biggest fear. If you asked me 10 years ago, I would have, wanted my husband to get his act together and be there for the kids because they were going to suffer without him. But now I look back and they didn't suffer. They're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They got
So
a strong mama, that's why. Um, and do you feel in any way, oh, I already asked you that question, sorry. Tell me about your life right now. Your like what are you doing right now and how are your kids right now?
so we are all cyber schooling. I had already enrolled in college before this pandemic happened, and thank God I enrolled online. Um, so I'm doing full-time school and working full-time. Um, my son started high school this year, but virtually. My
Mhm.
daughter started middle school this year, but virtually. So we're all just on top of each other all day.
Yeah.
We're, I'm working from home, as long as my job lets me, which I hope is forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, working from home. Then when I finish working, I get started on my schoolwork and I pop into their rooms throughout the day to make sure they're doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Are you
I'm
in
so
a
glad, like, we're happy, we're safe. Like, I
yeah,
couldn't imagine if this pandemic happened when I was doing hair. I what would I have done? I would have been out of work indefinitely. Or if they were, really little, how would I go to work
yeah,
if they couldn't be watched,
yep,
you know? So I'm lucky that this happened when it did for us. And, I was able to work from home and they were able to be independent on their computers at home. That
yeah.
was another thing. They happened to both get computers for Christmas right before the pandemic happened.
Wow.
And then I think computers were basically sold out for a couple months.
Yeah,
So, yeah, they just happened to have just gotten computers. And that was a smooth transition. We didn't need the school to scramble and try to provide one. They were able to just jump right into it virtually.
yeah,
So we got
yeah,
really lucky.
yeah. God has a plan, right?
Yeah, right?
What about you? Are you happy? Are you in a relationship at all?
Yep. I've had a boyfriend now for 3 years. So we started dating in 2017, like a year after I bought this house.
Mhm,
Um, he lives in New Jersey. We were set up by a mutual friend.
mhm.
So I don't know how long it would have taken for me to date someone, but he kind of came pre-approved.
Yeah,
So I gave him a chance.
yeah,
But he's really good. He's super helpful, especially like with stuff around the house. My gosh, that's one of the biggest struggles is, because I'm not a handyman,
yeah, yeah,
but thank God for YouTube. But
yeah,
but he does a lot of, that kind of stuff for me, helps with, my vehicle.
yeah.
He'll drive. I'm sorry, my cat
Hi,
wants to be on
kitty.
camera.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, usually my cat's on my lap. I don't know where she is.
um, but yeah, he's really great. He helps me logistically, picking the kids up, driving them places, helps me around the house, helps me with my car.
Yeah.
Um, it is really nice. I don't know if we'll get married anytime soon. Um, he he's just learning about faith and my faith. He didn't really have any before,
Mhm,
and that's really important to me if
mhm,
we were to get married.
mhm.
Um, I need I need that security that we're on the same page
Yeah,
um, when it comes to our spirituality. So that's kind of where we're at right now,
yeah,
um, trying to come to a mutual understanding and, see if it's something he's willing to commit to.
mhm.
Um,
How was, like, getting into a relationship again? Was that challenging? Was it scary for you? Or was it just that you were able to be like you said he was, like, pre-approved, so did that just help things a lot, or
yeah, I don't even know that I would have gone on a date with him at all.
Yeah,
If guys ever talked to me, I really just like wasn't interested because, I have trust issues now. I don't want to waste all that time again and,
mm,
put myself out there, put my kids out there,
yeah,
for something bad to happen again. And so, yeah, I just had no interest in dating. But yeah, it was a special circumstance with, somebody else knowing him well and not having any reservation
yeah,
about introducing us. So that kind of got my foot in the door
yeah,
just to see how it went. And, he was great. We got along so well. And he's so, so, so sweet. And it took like a year, if not more, for me to like let my guard down a little bit. Like I was just waiting. Like, all right, his true colors are gonna come out at some point. And I kept waiting and waiting, and he just stays the same. Like in over 3 years, he's never even raised his voice at me.
mm,
He's calm.
Yeah.
and he's really caring. He's generous. Like, he's not that kind of person that I was afraid of.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's what you needed, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Extra
he's good.
gentle and calm. Good.
Yes.
Tell me about your relationship with your kids.
It's fun. Because they are like teenagers now.
Yeah.
It's not, so much babying them and doing every little thing for them. They're more independent.
Mhm.
If I can't cook dinner tonight, they can whip something together themselves, and
Yeah.
we can hang out and watch like the TV shows that I like, and we can have
Yeah.
conversations about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool. I like, some things about teenagers is not fun, but I think most of the day to day is pretty fun. It's like they're
Mm.
becoming more like roommates, that I hang out with.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously I still, buy everything for them and,
Yeah.
remind them to brush their teeth and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. But, they're becoming more independent and more just on my level, I guess. Like we can have
Yeah.
conversations that I didn't even think about that. Like as my kids are growing up, it was more like I said earlier, like observing, watching them, but it's
Yeah.
like, no, like we're doing it together, we
That's so
we can
fun.
jive and interact, and I get to like be a part of all of their growth, and it's really fun. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. What is the most important thing that you would want your children to know and to learn in life?
Oh,
That's another tough one.
I hope that they would also find their own faith. I don't I don't push it on them because I think it's important for them to find on their own.
Mhm.
It's not a secret how I feel and, how I arrived at my own conclusions. So that would make me feel really good if they could share that and come to the same place,
Yeah.
because I think it really helps you to not limit yourself. It takes a lot of boundary off of how you live your life.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really important for them.
Yeah.
And I know there's like 9 million other
Yeah.
things. I want them to be happy, but not selfish,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I want them to find joy in experience and helpfulness and generosity and
Mhm.
kindness. I don't want them to, just value having nice cars and,
Yeah.
you know, the newest iPhone and, that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. I want them to find like true joy in life from being with people.
I love that. I love that, especially in today's culture. Like it's hard when everything's right at your fingertips, like in your phone, So
I
just
know it's very hard to convince a teenager that life is bigger than the internet.
yes. Yes, yes, for sure. Um, you did touch on this a little bit, but do you feel that being a single mom
Oh,
has
broke up a little bit.
yeah. Did you hear me or no?
Nope, you froze up on me for a second.
Okay. Is it fine now?
It's laggy,
Yeah.
but I hear you.
Okay. Um, do you feel that being a single mom has impacted your kids in any way?
It really doesn't seem like it. Because, they don't I don't know how they don't have like emotional issues.
Yeah.
Um, you know, my son has a little bit of anxiety, but I think that's just from being my son, you know, genetically and, you know, growing up around me. Like, you know, I'm anxious, I worry, I want everything
Yeah.
perfect all the time. So, you know, that's rubbed off on him a little bit, but I think that would have happened anyway. Um, but I guess they, you know, there's no, I don't see any negative. If anything, I think maybe they're more empathetic
Hmm.
because they saw struggle
Hmm.
their whole lives. But I don't think they necessarily struggled themselves. I think, you know, they have that empathy because they saw how hard it was for me and that I didn't want it to take away from them.
Yeah.
And so I think it gives them a leg up emotionally that, you
Yeah.
know, their life hasn't been all about them. They haven't had everything handed to them that they wanted, and
Hmm.
they've witnessed me climb up to that. Most kids aren't born until their parents already got to the place they
Yeah.
wanted to be at. So they saw it happen. So I think if anything, it positively affected them.
Yeah. Oh, love that. So powerful. Um, and do you think them not having like a constant stable male figure in their life has impacted them at all?
Not that I can see. I mean, it has to, right? Um, but they don't show it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I my son, he has a relationship, well, they both have a relationship with my son's biological father's family.
Okay.
So they didn't know that my son existed until he was a year old. And they found us and they jumped right in, and they're like second parents to me. You
Hmm.
know, their son is not in the picture. He
Yeah.
doesn't want anything to do with anyone,
Yeah.
but they helped raise both my kids. You know, they call my daughter their granddaughter,
Aw.
even though they're really not related.
Yeah.
Um, but they've always been there. So, you know, he is a male role model. And then my dad, too, he's always been there. So they do have, you know, male figures, permanent figures in their lives. Um, and I think, you know, it's the older they get, the more obvious it is to them that they're better off
Yeah.
without the ones that gave them life,
Yeah.
that, you know, they wouldn't benefit at all. You can't change the way people are, and that's the way that they are,
Yeah.
and it's better that you're not around it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I think it's in like you said, like they had who were the male figures you said that were in there? So your
Um, my son's father's
biological.
father
Okay. Okay.
and
Yeah.
my father.
Yeah. See, that's awesome. Um, but even like without like if they weren't in the picture, like it just sounds like you did like you were just that constant for them, and just seeing you get through and push through and yeah. So it sounds like they would have been okay either way.
Yeah, I think it was harder when they were littler because I don't have dad voice.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know, when you're trying to tell them to
Yep.
stop, they didn't listen to me like they listened to a guy's voice.
Yeah.
So I think that was that was probably the biggest struggle. Like it's like I wish I could just have like a guy come in when they're misbehaving to yell
Yeah.
at them.
Oh, that's funny. Um, what are your goals and dreams for the future?
Well, personally, I'm working on becoming a lawyer. I've had a lot of dreams that have fluctuated over the years.
Mhm.
But Law school seems to be like a constant. Um, I figure if I'm capable of doing something like that, um, the world needs more genuine people getting into that.
Yes.
Um, so I don't want to, waste my brain, just doing this job for the rest of my life if I can use it to do good for others.
Yeah.
And, even though I'm only 32, I'm not going to have any more kids. So, I can really put all my efforts into that when my kids are out of the house in a few years.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny. I was talking to my friends about the project that you're doing and how you'd like it to turn into a program
Mm-hmm.
for single moms. And that was something I had always talked about also, like some type of a co-op where, women work there and there's childcare
Oh.
and education. Like I always fantasized about doing something like that. Of course, I need money. We talked about
Yeah.
the funding issues with it too. So maybe I'll make a whole lot of money doing pro bono work as a lawyer,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But I think it's really awesome what you're doing. And
Oh, thank you.
I've fantasized about helping people like that too.
Yeah. We'll have to team up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Do you have any advice for any of our single moms that are listening?
Not to be cliche, but find your faith because God really will get you through everything, no matter how bad, no matter how dismal the things seem. If you have God in your life, you will find silver linings and you will find strength. And I don't know how people do it without God. So I got to give glory to God
Yeah.
and strongly suggest if you're a single mom and you don't have faith to try and find it. I know, like I said, it sounds cliche, but I couldn't have done it without that.
Yeah.
Um, and, along with that comes finding relationships with other people that can also give you strength. Um, I had a hard time, like, making friends and connections when I was lonely and isolated by everything that was going on. And at the same time, finding God also led me to new relationships with new kinds of people
Yeah.
who did understand and who didn't judge me.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for your self-esteem and your belief in your own ability to rise up
Hmm.
and do everything that has to get done.
Yeah. 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 Um, what you're saying now, and then going back to something you said before, just about how you had this kind of like picture in your head of like religious people. And um, I don't know exactly what you meant by that, but I mean, I know what you meant, but like, I don't know exactly what type of religious person you were referring to, but I know there's so like, I really try to, it's been on my heart even more so lately, just to really let people know, like, don't mistake the counterfeit for the real thing. I like
Mhm.
to say, because like there's so many people out there giving a false representation of who God is, who Jesus is, and God loves you. Jesus loves you. Like, no matter if you know him or not, no matter if you're like living, a sinful life and making bad choices, like God loves you, and I think it's so important. Like, God is love, he's good. So if somebody's saying something different, like that's not Jesus. So I feel like there's so many people out there just giving like a false impression of who he is, and then it pushes people away, or
Right.
um, something bad happens, to somebody, in the church or from somebody who's a part of the church. And so they take that as like, oh, well, that's who, God is. And that pushes them away. And so that's,
Right.
that's sad.
Yeah, people can hurt you, but God won't
Yes.
hurt you.
Yes. Yes. um, Do you have any advice for teen girls who feel that pressure to engage in sex at a young age?
I mean, I completely understand how hard it is to be that person who says no.
Mhm.
When you're a teenager, like everything seems so important.
Mhm.
And, when everyone's having sex, which, more and more, I mean, I thought that was the case when I was a teenager. It's even more so now.
Yeah.
Um, I know that that's hard to take a stand for yourself
Mhm.
and hold on to ideals and protecting yourself
Mhm.
when, everyone around you is telling you to give in and be normal. But y- nobody regrets waiting.
Mhm.
I don't, I know very, very, very few people who are happy with, their first sexual experiences.
Yeah.
You know, most, especially women, um, wish it had been different.
Yeah.
And, you can't undo that. So
Yeah.
I don't know anyone, I know very few people who waited, but the ones I know are glad that they did.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
you can't undo it. You can't go back and change it. And I wish young girls would keep that in mind, that,
Yeah.
the pressure seems bigger than it really is
Mhm.
because you're young and that's how things are. When
Yeah.
you're young, everything seems big. Um, but it's not that important to give into something like that. You can still be cool, you can still be normal, you
Yeah.
can be even better because you're strong enough to stand up
Yeah.
against that kind of thing. And that's
Yeah.
something that's real growth toward becoming an adult. Having sex doesn't make you an adult,
Yeah.
but being strong in your convictions to, your values and protecting yourself against potential outcomes, that's being grown up.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. And it's so like every like sexual experience, like that's something that's always going to be in your head, when you're taking, when you do find that person you want to be with forever, you're taking like all those are still like with you, and they affect your relationship. And when I met my now husband, like we decided to wait until we were married to have sex. um but it's still like, my past and his past still played a role in our relationship, and our intimate relationship. And it's stuff that you have to work through. And that's why God created, sex for a marriage, so you didn't have all that like baggage, bringing
Right.
into your marriage. And people don't realize that, when they're making those choices. And for
Yeah.
teen girls, like it's beautiful to love yourself and respect yourself and feel like empowered to say no and to stand up for yourself and your body. And I would love, actually, like I really want to make like a course or something eventually for teen girls. And I think you would be great to like have on there if you'd ever be interested.
Sure.
Speak or something. Yeah. Awesome. Um Okay, do you have like a proudest moment like for yourself being a single mom? Like, is there any moment that stands out to you that you're just really proud of yourself?
Oh, I thought you were going to say proud of my kids.
Yeah.
um Uh, I guess a couple. I mean, buying the house, I still can't believe that happened. I was only 27, and
That's
I
crazy.
definitely didn't have like a head start. I like started way back. So I thought that was pretty cool that I was able to do that all by myself. Um, and then just recently I found out I made the dean's list for my first semester at college at
That's
32 years
amazing.
old. Um, yeah, I guess I have a few things to be proud of.
A few? Ah,
But
you should be so
yeah,
proud of yourself.
it does feel good to like have like those concrete things. Like I can tell myself all day, like you were made for great things, but then like
Yeah.
I see something like my dean's list email and I'm like, oh my gosh, it really happened.
Yes.
It's really working.
Yeah. Ah, that's awesome. Um, hmm. Were there any like good points about being a single mom? Like, is there anything that you really liked about being a single mom?
Um, yeah, I have a few friends who are also single parents,
Mhm.
but it's shared custody situations.
Mhm.
And then I have a few friends who are not single parents but are unhappy in their relationships. So I think hearing those kind of things reminds me that I'm lucky in a way. It sounds weird
Yeah.
to say that I was lucky to be a single mom, but
Yeah.
all of that crap stopped.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
all that pain stopped. I was finally able to heal once I was away from it. And then I didn't have to, after, the couple of years of back and forth, but for the past 8 years, I haven't seen him. I haven't had to drop my kids off at his house and hope that they're going to be taken care of. I didn't have to wonder, how long he's known the girl he's dating that's going to be taking care of my kids for the weekend while they're there.
Yeah.
Things like that would drive me crazy. So, yeah, I guess I I am grateful that it worked out the way that it did, that I didn't have to worry about those kind of things. If something needed to get done, it got done because I was the only one to do it. And I didn't have to worry about,
Mhm.
someone hurting me because I got away from them.
Mhm. Yeah. It's good. Um, if is there any way that somebody who's listening who maybe is they're just listening as a friend and maybe they have a single mom friend, like what's a good way that they could support them?
I think, listening is very important. So I think, um, as moms, we're giving.
Mhm.
We're not looking to receive a lot.
Mhm.
So I think a good way to open the door is to, start with conversation and, genuine caring. Like even just knowing what their kids' first words are, or, when they're teething, or how potty trainings go, like all those little things, like genuinely caring, because when you're a single mom, like you have all those things running through your head, but who else really cares? you know
Yeah.
so I think if you have a single mom in your life that you love, to pay attention to those kind of feelings, because those make up the majority of our brain space, is
Mhm.
like all this love we have for our kids and every little detail about their lives.
Yeah.
So I know it's a joke like on social media when you become a mom, like, oh, everything's about your kids. But if you love someone who's a mother, I think you should, take the time to share that interest.
Yeah.
Just like you would go to, get their nails done, or,
Yeah.
something like that. Just let them talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Is there anything you would want married couples or somebody with a partner to know about being a single mom?
Um, I would say don't turn your nose down at them
Mhm.
because it can happen to anybody.
Mhm.
I tell my friends that now at this age are kind of rushing to settle down with the next guy they meet
Mhm.
because they want to have kids. And I remind them that getting married first doesn't mean you'll never be a single parent.
Yeah.
Something tragic could happen, or as is the case with most divorce, it didn't work, or you didn't know them as well as you thought. There's so many reasons that you could become a single parent, and 99.9% of the time it's not because you planned it that way.
Yeah.
you know it
Nobody
usually
Mostly, yeah, like you said, 99% of the time you don't choose this path.
exactly. So I think keep that in mind. I wouldn't necessarily go through plans to prepare to be a single parent, but
Mhm.
mentally keep that in the back of your mind that it can happen
Mhm.
to anybody.
Yeah, yeah. And is there anything else that you wanna share? Any advice for single moms or even somebody who is maybe in an abusive relationship?
That's hard. My heart really goes out to people who are in abusive relationships
Mhm.
because it's a vicious cycle, because the abuse brings down your self-worth,
Mhm.
and that makes it harder to walk away and gives them more control over you, and it just perpetuates and snowballs. It's really hard to um stand up and say enough is enough.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people, it's dangerous too.
Mhm.
So I think it depends on the level and types of abuse, but
Yeah.
if you know in the back of your mind that the relationship you're in is abusive, sometimes people tell themselves it's not, but deep down they know. I think if you have thoughts like that, you should, as soon as possible, start looking for your way out. Even if it doesn't feel right, even if you have a voice in the back of your head telling you he might change, or
Yeah.
you know I this is all I deserve, like all of those things. If there's any part of you that knows what you're experiencing is abuse, um just almost go into autopilot. Just get out. Find the safest way, find resources. They are out there.
Yeah.
I would i would say the most dangerous thing you can do is wait and see what happens.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you for that. Is there anything else that you wanna share?
um I don't think so. I think I shared a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you so, so much for sharing your story and just being vulnerable with us and being so open. And I'm just really hopeful and praying that your story just reaches and impacts a lot of moms who are hopefully going to be listening and just gain some strength and courage from this. So thank you so much.
I hope so too. I think it's really great what you're doing and putting out there.
Yeah.
There's not enough of it, but there's so many women who can relate. How many million single mothers in this country alone?
Yeah.
Um, it's important, and these things need to be shared. And I'm so grateful that you're taking the time to make it happen.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us and listening to Tiffany's story. Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us. I am honored again that you chose to share your story with us, and you are just incredibly brave and strong. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable and willing to share. And your story is really going to touch the lives of so many. I really believe that God is using you for so much good and just to touch the lives of other single mamas who just need to hear some encouragement and some love, and just know that they can do it and that they can get through this. So, Tiffany, thank you so much. And everybody, just have a blessed day and be encouraged.